A Kirkland signature warehouse in Issaquah, Washington, on a Tuesday morning. Fluorescent light, concrete floor, a pallet of moisturizer stacked chest-high, next to a pallet of rotisserie chickens. The jar on that pallet costs about $11. 3 miles away, at the Nordstrom beauty counter downtown, a woman is handing over $180 for a jar that came out of a contract manufacturer in the same corridor of the same industry, filled on the same kind of line, thickened with the same glycerin and the same dimethicone. Neither woman knows about the other. That is the whole business model. Costco does something the beauty industry finds genuinely inconvenient. Its house brand runs on a hard ceiling. Kirkland's signature is priced to a fixed, thin margin, and the company will not raise it just because the category will bear it. Meanwhile, it sells the luxury brands too, 20 feet away, at 10 to 20% off, in bundles the department store is contractually forbidden to offer. So the same aisle shows you the formula and the theater at the same time, and lets you do the arithmetic yourself. These are 8 things you can put in a Costco cart that do the job the luxury counter charges a premium to do. If you like knowing what is actually inside the jar before you pay for the lid, subscribe. The next one goes even deeper into the manufacturers nobody names on the box. Number 8. Kirkland Signature Daily Facial Towelettes. $30 is roughly what a department store charges for 60 makeup-removing cloths in an embossed tub. Costco sells Kirkland Signature Daily Facial Towelettes in a pack of 180 for around $13, about 7 cents a cloth. What is on the cloth is not exotic and does not need to be. Water, sodium cocoyl glutamate, or a similar mild amino acid surfactant, glycerin, aloe barbadensis leaf juice, panthenol, a light preservative system, that is a low irritation cleansing wipe. It is the same job description as the cloths sold under 3-figure skincare houses. Lift the pigment and the sunscreen, do not strip the barrier, do not sting. The category is enormous. Facial cleansing wipes and cloths are a multi-billion-dollar global business, and the margin lives almost entirely in the tub design. Costco's version comes in flat resealable packs of 60, because a rigid tub costs money, and Kirkland's margin ceiling does not allow for it. You are buying the cloth, not the vessel. Number 7. Kirkland Signature Moisturizing Face Lotion with SPF. Sunscreen is the one product where dermatologists agree the actual anti-aging happens, and it is also where the price spread gets absurd. A daily facial SPF from a prestige brand runs $60 to $90 for 1.7 ounces. Costco's Kirkland Signature Moisturizing Face Lotion with SPF sits around $15 for a twin pack. The filters are the point. Look at the drug facts panel. Avobenzone at 3%, homosalate, octisalate, octocrylene, the same UVA/UVB filter set sitting in the drug facts panel of the $60 bottle. Avobenzone is avobenzone. It is a defined molecule with a defined absorption spectrum, and it does not perform differently because the outer carton is matte laminated. The base underneath is glycerin, dimethicone, tocopherol. Here is the part that matters more than the price. The single biggest failure in sunscreen is underapplication. Most people apply a fraction of the amount used in FDA testing, which quietly drops the protection they actually receive. A bottle you are not rationing gets used at the right thickness. Cheap sunscreen you apply generously outperforms expensive sunscreen you apply like caviar. Number 6. CeraVe Moisturizing Cream, 19-ounce warehouse tub. This is the one that made the argument mainstream. CeraVe Moisturizing Cream in the big tub. Costco carries the 19-ounce jar, often in a bundle, for roughly $19 to $24, which lands around $1 an ounce. The formula is not a mystery, and never was. 3 ceramides, ceramide NP, ceramide AP, ceramide EOP, plus cholesterol, free fatty acids, hyaluronic acid, and petrolatum, delivered in a slow-release MVE system. That combination came out of dermatology research on barrier lipids at a physiological ratio. It is not marketing. It is the specific reason the product keeps showing up in dermatologists' recommendations. Now the comparison. La Mer's Crème de la Mer runs about $200 for 1 ounce and $380 for 2 ounces. Its foundational ingredient list opens with algae extract, mineral oil, petrolatum, glycerin, and a set of waxes, an occlusive cream, competently made, with a story about fermentation attached. Petrolatum is petrolatum in both jars. One of them costs roughly $1 an ounce, and one costs $200. The difference you are buying is not lipid chemistry. It is the weight of the jar in your hand. Number 5. Kirkland Signature Hyaluronic Acid Serum. Hyaluronic acid became the ingredient of the last decade, and the price range it now spans is the single clearest demonstration of what a label is worth. A luxury HA serum lands between $85 and $160 for an ounce. Costco's Kirkland Signature Hyaluronic Acid Serum runs about $17 for a 2-pack of 1-ounce bottles, under $9 a bottle. Sodium hyaluronate is a humectant. It binds water, a great deal of it relative to its own weight, and holds it in the upper layers of the skin, which reads visually as plumpness and softness. Lower molecular weight fractions sit deeper. Higher weight fractions sit on the surface and smooth. That is the whole mechanism, and it has been public knowledge for 30 years. The raw material trades as a commodity by the kilogram. The Ordinary sells its hyaluronic acid, 2% plus B5, for about $10, and did more damage to prestige serum pricing than any regulator ever has. Costco's version does the same thing at warehouse scale. When an ingredient is a commodity and the mechanism is published, $160 is not a formula price. It is an admission fee. Number 4. Kirkland Signature Regenerist Style Retinol Night Treatment and the Olay Bundle. Costco is where the retinol arithmetic gets interesting, because the warehouse carries both sides of it. Olay Regenerist Retinol 24 Night Moisturizer moves through Costco in multi-jar bundles that work out to roughly $12 to $18 per jar, against a shelf price closer to $30 each. Inside, retinol propionate paired with niacinamide in a glycerin and dimethicone base. Retinol propionate is a gentler retinoid ester, less irritating than retinol, slower in the conversion chain, which is precisely why it survives in a nightly cream people actually keep using. Against that, prestige retinol sits between $90 and $190 a jar. Some of those are excellent, and a few use genuinely more advanced encapsulation. But the published dermatology on retinoids is consistent and blunt. Results come from consistent use over months, at a tolerated concentration. The variable that decides your outcome is whether the jar is still on your nightstand in week 14. A $12 jar has a much better survival rate than a $190 one, which people ration like a wine they are saving. 3 products in, and a pattern has surfaced. Every one of these is a case where the active is public, the mechanism is published, and the raw material is a commodity, and the price still ranges across a factor of 20. That gap is not chemistry, it is positioning. Which raises the obvious question about the counter product you have been loyal to for years. Number 3. Neutrogena Hydro Boost and the water gel category. Costco sells Neutrogena Hydro Boost in twin packs, 2 1.7-ounce jars for roughly $20 to $26, so about $11 a jar. The formula is a water gel, sodium hyaluronate, glycerin, dimethicone, olive extract, in a light gel matrix rather than a cream. That texture is the actual innovation. It delivers humectants without the heavy occlusive layer, which is why it works for people whose skin turns shiny under a traditional moisturizer. The luxury version of this exact idea is the gel cream, and it sits between $65 and $130 for a similar volume. Read those lists side by side, and you find the same humectant backbone with a fragrance accord, a botanical extract at a fraction of a percent, and a frosted glass jar on top. Glass is heavy. Heavy reads as substantial. The industry has known that for a century, and prices accordingly. Number 2. Cetaphil Gentle Skin Cleanser, 20-ounce warehouse bottles. The most useful bottle in the entire warehouse is also the least photogenic. Costco carries Cetaphil Gentle Skin Cleanser in large twin packs, commonly two 20-ounce bottles for around $20 to $24. The list is short and deliberately boring. Water, glycerin, cetyl alcohol, propylene glycol, sodium lauryl sulfate at a low level in a buffered non-foaming base, panthenol, niacinamide, pantothenic acid. It is a low surfactant, near pH neutral cleanser designed to remove debris without stripping the acid mantle. It has been prescribed after procedures and recommended for sensitive skin for decades for exactly that reason. The luxury cleanser costs between $55 and $110 for 6 ounces. Its job is 14 seconds long, and then it goes down the drain. That is the most important sentence in this category. A cleanser is a rinse-off product. Contact time is measured in seconds, and almost nothing in it stays on your face. Spending $100 on something engineered to leave is theater with plumbing attached. Notice which items land where in this countdown. The further down we go, the more boring the product gets, and the wider the price gap becomes. That is not a coincidence. The industry charges the most for the products where the mechanism is easiest to explain, because when the mechanism is obvious, the only thing left to sell is the feeling. Number 1. The Kirkland Signature Niacinamide and Vitamin C Ampoule Sets. Number 1 is the clearest single case on the shelf. Costco has run Kirkland Signature Ampoule and Serum Sets, niacinamide and vitamin C formulations, often at around $25 to $30, for a multi-pack that works out to a few dollars per unit of active treatment. Niacinamide is vitamin B3. At concentrations around 4 to 5%, it has published research behind it for supporting the skin barrier, moderating sebum, and improving the look of uneven tone. It is stable, it is cheap, and it plays well with almost everything. Vitamin C as L-ascorbic acid is the other workhorse, a well-studied antioxidant, notoriously unstable in water, which is exactly why some brands package it in single-dose ampoules that stay sealed until the day you use them. That ampule format is not a luxury flourish. It is a chemistry solution to an oxidation problem. Now, the number this channel exists for. SkinCeuticals CE Ferulic runs about $182 for a 1-ounce bottle. 15% L-ascorbic acid, 1% alpha-tocopherol, 0.5% ferulic acid, at a low pH. It is a genuinely good formula with real published work behind it, and it is also the most expensive way to buy 3 well-characterized molecules ever devised. Paula's Choice sells 10% niacinamide for about $44. The Ordinary sells niacinamide 10% plus zinc for about $6. Costco sells you the same class of active in a sealed ampoule for a few dollars a dose. Same active, same published mechanism. A price spread of roughly 30 to 1. And the warehouse version is sitting on a steel shelf, 4 feet from a flat of paper towels, under a sign nobody photographed for a magazine. Here is what the aisle is actually showing you. 2 things are for sale in every skincare purchase, and they are priced separately, even though they arrive in the same box. There is the formula, the filters, the ceramides, the niacinamide, the sodium hyaluronate, the actual molecules with actual published behavior. And there is the theater, the weighted glass, the fragrance accord, the counter, the woman in the lab coat who is technically in sales, the story about a coastline. The theater is not worthless. Ritual is real, and a product you enjoy using is a product you keep using. And consistency is where nearly all of the results in skincare come from. If a beautiful jar is what gets you to the sink every night, that jar is doing something a plastic tub cannot. Buy it knowingly, but know the ratio. When a $180 jar and an $11 tub share a mechanism, a molecule, and sometimes a contract manufacturer, you are paying $169 for the part that is not skincare. Costco's whole structure, the fixed thin margin, the concrete floor, the absence of a beauty counter, accidentally strips the theater out and leaves the formula standing there by itself. looking a little plain, working exactly as well. The most expensive thing on the beauty aisle has never been an ingredient. It is the belief that a thing must be rare to work. Ceramides are not rare. Avobenzone is not rare. Niacinamide is sold by the kilogram. Nothing in that jar is scarce except the story on the outside of it. Next time, the part nobody at the counter will say out loud, the contract manufacturers. The handful of factories that fill both the drugstore tube and the luxury jar, whose names are on none of the labels and all of the paperwork. That one is waiting for you right now.